Hey everyone, it's Robyn from Water Moon Tarot, and I'm here today to continue on my moon sign series. We are at the 8th sign of the zodiac, and that is Scorpio. So this is the video on the moon in Scorpio. I've been thinking about it a lot. Um, I am a Scorpio, but I don't pretend to have the moon in Scorpio, that's for sure. Because that definitely is a different placement from the sun in Scorpio, although of course there will be similarities. But Scorpio is a water sign and it's a fixed sign and it is a feminine sign. And Scorpio is ruled by, actually, Scorpio has two ruling planets. The first is Mars, like Aries, the god of war. And the second is Pluto, which is the planet of transformation. So the moon in Scorpio is constantly seeking a transformation. Scorpio is known to be the sign of regeneration, death, and sex. So there's a lot of interesting things going on there. And Scorpio being a fixed water sign, the fixed water sign, when we talk about intensity, you can just think about fixed water like a tsunami. There's very little on the earth in nature that can hold up to a tsunami. Let's say the force of that water, the strength of that water flowing through. So the force of that water will put out fire, will destroy earth, and I mean, air has no chance, obviously, but so you're starting to see where I'm going with the moon in Scorpio's intensity and strength, and destructive, almost, not almost, destructive capacities that the moon in Scorpio can have because of its strength and because of its intensity. So moon in Scorpio people are constantly seeking that intensity and transformation. So when it comes to the moon sign and their emotional nature, they're always seeking that intense experience. So they do not love lightly, and they don't do really anything lightly. Everything is kind of tinged with this intensity and force and exaggerated emotional nature. So the moon in Scorpio in love needs to possess, not possess like Cancer needs to possess. Cancer's like, this is mine, you can have it. Scorpio wants to almost become that other person and transform into that other person. They almost like to take on that other person as their own, as themselves, which is kind of a difficult, concept to wrap our heads around, because anybody who is not the moon in Scorpio doesn't understand that level of ownership on the emotional level that Scorpio kind of demands from other people. So a lot of that stems from a difficulty in trusting other people, because they really do have a difficulty in opening up about themselves. They almost never do. However, they like to know everything about other people. So there is a great sense in knowing. It's also a key word for Scorpio, like knowing. They innately, they intuitively understand other people and can get deep to the root of the other person's, inside motive, inside feelings. They feel everything because of their water sign status and because of their intensity. They feel other people's everything. So it's very hard to hide anything from the moon in Scorpio. Actually, you can't really, because they see through the veil of what other people are trying to hide, and sometimes aren't even aware of themselves. But the moon in Scorpio is very aware of what's underlying the surface. So that can make other people feel a lot of the time uncomfortable about the moon in Scorpio, because when they're looking at you, it's almost like they have x-ray vision. They can see you. And so it takes very specific people to be enthused by that, you know what I mean? Most people don't want their innermost everything, out there on display, whether it be intentional or not. There's a definite awareness from the other person most of the time that Scorpio can see through them, and that makes most people uncomfortable. And the other people, they're not quite sure how to deal with that situation. So in that way, for moon and Scorpio, it's very difficult with interpersonal relationships. It's not the most comfortable position for the moon because of their intensity and everything. Their feelings are felt so intensely that very few other signs, very few other people can kind of relate to that. When they love with everything. It becomes literally everything, and the expectations from that other person are very, very high, and there's few people that can live up to those expectations, because they almost, because they do expect to kind of become one with this person, through all different, intimacy on their side, almost, because Scorpio doesn't do intimacy very well on their level, but they expect the other person to really bring, 1,000% of themselves to the relationship. And I think in that way, that's the difficulty with Moon and Scorpio in relationships, is because they expect all of this openness and transparency and honesty and from the other person, and dedication and loyalty. And while they are very loyal, they're extremely loyal. If they love you for life. But their lack of trust can very often get in the way of doing the same of what they're asking other people to do for them. So the moon in Scorpio demands all of those things from other people, but has a difficulty doing it themselves on a outward basis, let's say, because they won't be openly, honest about their feelings. They're gonna hide. They definitely wear a mask. They have that outer shell of the scorpion. If you think about the scorpion, it has that outer shell. However, the scorpion is extremely dangerous animal, and very patient. And if you were to cross a moon in Scorpio, they're very well known to exact their revenge, and not in an overt way. A lot of the time they're very patient, and they're gonna wait for that perfect chance to get back at whoever it is that wronged them. Their sense of betrayal, because of their sensitivity, runs so deep that if you betray them, it's like stabbing them in the heart, literally. And because they're a fixed sign, they cannot let it go, and they will wait for that perfect, time to come back and sting you with their, stinger. And exact their revenge on you. also, it's really important to say that I think that sometimes people are afraid of the moon in Scorpio, or Scorpios in general, because of all the sex and death and transformation and stuff like that. But at the core, Scorpios are really loving people and good people, and when they love you, there's no one better to because of their intensity. There's nobody better, there's nobody more capable in loving wholeheartedly and with everything that they have. So you definitely want to keep Scorpio on your good side, not on your bad side, because they will come back to try to exact revenge. They will, and they can wait, for years, or the perfect time to do that, which I find incredible about the moon in Scorpio, actually. And it's also important to say that their karmic lesson in life is transformation, because of being ruled by Pluto, and they're constantly reinventing themselves and constantly seeking growth and transformation. So it's very likely that moon and Scorpios that have changed throughout. It's very rare to see a moon in Scorpio that kind of like stays the same, like from one not moment, but from one time to the next. You're going to see how the moon in Scorpio is kind of like changing and evolving, and they're moving like forward, and their lives kind of like have this transformational quality. They're always seeking truth, and they're always seeking what's underneath the surface. They won't take things at face value. If you tell a moon in Scorpio, well, this is the way things are, this is fact, well, that's not good enough. They need to learn it from themselves, and they need to experience it. And Scorpio needs to experience all the depths and intensities and experiences that life has to offer. And for that reason, they're very good investigators. They often have like careers to do with the human psyche. They love to get inside the mind, so they can be, psychiatrists or therapists, or a psychoanalyst, or anything like that. They love to do like research and investigate things, so they can be investigators or detectives. They love to get into like, what's underneath. They like to dig for the truth. They love that. And very often you can see them in the metaphysical realm, the occult realm. Very often they're, tarot readers or astrologers, or anything to do with metaphysics and things that are taboo to a lot of people. The moon in Scorpio definitely feels very, very comfortable there. So I think the lesson for moon in Scorpio is to try to take themselves a little bit less seriously, which is almost impossible for the moon in Scorpio, and to try to trust just a little bit more, that to kind of realize that even if somebody betrays you, even if somebody hurts you, it's literally not the end of the world. Everybody's gonna be hurt by somebody at some point, and they're still gonna be okay. It's gonna hurt in the moment, but because of their extreme emotional nature, it's so over dramatized and extreme. It's felt to the core, but even though they're still going to be okay. So just try to trust just a little bit more, and maybe just open up and realize that even if you're hurt, it's always just a lesson for this life, and that helps in the transformation process. Actually, through pain we learn. Unfortunately, it's usually through pain. So that's my moon in Scorpio video. I hope that you liked it. Like, comment, share, And I'll be coming to you next with Moon in Sagittarius. I love you guys. Okay, bye.